how they operate has always been talked about, but when IPS officer DG Vanzara's resignation letter became public, it really brought out details we weren't privy to before. And we got that from one of the principal players. Details like how encounter police feel they're doing a patriotic duty, how they're given instructions from the political class and assured of protection. On agenda tonight, we have police officers, one who headed a state that has a pretty high rate of police encounters, Andhra Pradesh, and they talk about how it all works. Our audience is divided on the role of encounter police. They'll be putting their questions to the pundits, and they are V.N. Rai. He's just retired as the director of the Police Academy. We have Maya Daruwala, who is a human rights activist, and Swaranjit Sen, who used to be the DGP of Andhra Pradesh. Before we go to our pundits, let's look at the story till now and see what's happened, how the Gujarat government is now saying they will not accept this resignation letter.
A day after the senior IPS officer DG Vanzara and accused in several fake encounter cases stunned the Narendra Modi government with this explosive letter from jail, the state government today rejected his resignation.
Citing the All India Services Rule, the State Home Department sources say that the resignation cannot be accepted without the mandatory vigilance clearance. Also, the charge-sheeted officer has serious offences registered against him.
The encounter cop's letter bomb was a relief for the Congress, which is under attack for the economic crisis and the missing coal files. Although BJP dismissed Vanzara's letter as a mere frustration and suggested it may be a conspiracy against Modi, the Congress didn't waste the chance to hit out.
This letter is tip of an iceberg. This is something coming from within. And I think the least that one can say is that it calls for a complete transparent disclosure by everybody who is mentioned in the statement.
On the same day, a collusive CD by a journalist sting operator, himself under serious cloud of extortion, Congress tom-tomming it, and then this letter. Regardless of whatever they do, they cannot try to weaken the enormous popularity of Narendra Modi.
जिस प्रकार से कोई व्यक्ति जो अपने फ्रस्ट्रेशन में हो, जेल में हो, आरोपों के घेरे में हो, वैसे व्यक्ति का बयान का कोई संज्ञान लेना मैं आवश्यक नहीं समझता.
Calling Modi government as spineless, valiant only in words, but important in actions, Vanzara alleged officers like him are being kept in jail to gain political mileage. Vanzara goes on to say that Narendra Modi, who he adored like God, failed to rise to the occasion of protecting his officers. Targeting the then MOS home Amit Shah, Vanzara said he has a use and throw policy for police officers and has been misguiding Narendra Modi for the last several years. With opposition demanding Modi's resignation, it could be a tough time for the man who is tipped to be declared a prime ministerial candidate by his party. In Ahmedabad, Rohit Ban for NDTV.
That just brings us to our first talking point on the show today. Are encounter police considered loyal soldiers? That's actually the term that's been used by DG Vanzara himself in that letter. He says we were loyal soldiers. So I want to put that actually to Swaranjit Sen. When you read this letter, and all of us are looking at it with a lot of interest because it gives an insight from one of the principal players of how this all works. And Andhra Pradesh, you headed the Andhra Pradesh force, had quite a high number of encounters. What is your reaction? And first, also tell us, are all police officers, do they look at encounter policemen as loyal soldiers?
Now, first of all, I'd like to say that I'm really happy at the manner in which Narendra Modi, Amit Shah and Vanzara conspiracy is unfolding. I think this is the best thing that could be happening today for the police, for the entire bureaucracy. We find that more and more officers are conspiring with the most unscrupulous politicians to do various things. And in case Vanzara has done things on the behest of the then Home Minister, Amit Shah, or Narendra Modi, whoever, I think he would have committed a gross dereliction of duty himself. But why do officers do this? They do it to gain some personal gains, and they find that they become in the process.
So, sir, even though there were lots of
very, very
encounters
powerful
in
and
your
important.
tenure as well, in the Andhra since 2007, Gujarat has had only 5 encounters that have occurred. These are NHRC figures. Andhra Pradesh has had more than 40. So even though, I mean, when you were there and other policemen as well, you know, there were quite a few encounters, you don't feel that other encounter specialists as well, that they can identify with DG Vanzara?
I don't think anyone would like to identify with Vanzara. And in Andhra Pradesh, we had no one who could be called an encounter specialist. Now, I do not know what you're talking about. Are you talking about false encounters?
We're talking about
legitimate
intimations
encounters?
to the NHRC about encounters, police encounters, that NHRC was
No,
told
I don't
about.
think that's. I don't think
It's
that's
not
a
fake.
proper
I'm
way
not
to
saying
judge
fake.
it.
I'm just saying
No.
encounters. Some of them
Yeah.
were found to be
Okay.
fake. Encounters.
Yeah. So there is no such thing as an encounter specialist.
Okay.
If somebody has been used like that, then he has been misused, and it is equally his fault as the fault of those unscrupulous
Okay.
rogues who have used him as such.